Hello, hello. Good morning, my friend. Good afternoon or good evening, wherever you are tuning from. I'm so excited to be here with you. Today is a fresh, brand new day, fresh beginning. And I want to say, my friend, on this Monday, let's make a fresh start. Let's just rise up from the ashes, whether you had a great weekend or not so great weekend, and just lift each other up, encourage each other a little bit. If you're tuning the first time, my name is Jana Masik, and I'm hosting this live broadcast powering unique you, my friend. It's all about empowering you, giving you some advice, bringing you life lessons from amazing guests that we have here on the show. So today I want to see where you're coming from. If you're live or on replay, leave us a comment. Share this broadcast if you find it valuable. Today's guest is a very unique, special gentleman. He has amazing career, and what I love about him that he is very artistic. He wrote a book called Acoustic Leadership: Develop a Leadership Culture that Resonates, and the owner of Unlock and Amplify. So today we're really going to talk about how to unlock your potential and how to amplify your talent. And without further ado, I want to bring amazing Rick Lozano. Hello, Rick.
Hello, thank you, Jana, for having me. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Good to see everybody virtually.
Virtually, that is so true. Well, Rick, I really love your passion about bringing creativity into leadership, bringing creativity into work, and it looks like that's exactly from the fiber of your being. So maybe tell us a little bit of a story. I know you have an amazing story. How does this all come together to you be a creative, which is not as always so amplified in our life,
Yep.
and do your work on your career, growing professionally. How did it come together for you?
Well, thank you. And the first thing I was thinking back to what you just opened the show with today and about letting certain things go. And it was funny because I only really stepped into this space that I'm now working in when I decided to let go of those preconceived notions around what I could and what I couldn't do.
Wow.
And forever we've been told, many of us throughout our lives, you've got your personal life and you've got your professional life, and you got to keep those things separate. And about 9 years ago, I had a leader who changed my life. And the short version of the story goes like this: we were sitting down one day, and he says, "Rick, you're great at three things." And I said, "That's it?" He says, "Yes, three things. You're great at three things. You're a great speaker, you're a great facilitator, and you're a great musician. Do those three things." And I said, "Okay, well, I've got a gig at this place downtown next week." He says, "No, no, no, no. Do those at work." And I said, "What are you talking about?" He says, "Yes, do all of those things at the same time." And I said, "How does that work?" He says, "I don't know. I don't know." And I said, "Well, how am I supposed to make that good?" He says, "I don't know, but I'm telling you what, that's the secret to your success." And he closed the discussion with three letters. He says, "PFM." I said, "PFM? What's PFM?" He said, "Pure freaking magic. That's the way it's going to work for you. Just do those things, and that's going to be your secret." And Jana, it was amazing because I had no clue what this guy was talking about. I said, "What is that? What am I supposed to do? Bring my guitar to work?" I mean, and then I thought, well, what if I did? What if I brought my guitar to work? And so I started thinking like a musician at work. And I built a career over 20 years in leadership and talent development. And at a certain point, I said, you know what? Let's do this. Let's bring some of the things that I have learned as a musician, as a songwriter, into my work here. And when I finally threw it all together, I didn't know exactly how it was going to fit, but the doors just wide open to me.
Wow.
Suddenly there was inspiration and connections that I never saw before. And since then, it's just been this fantastic journey of discovery.
Wow. Wow. I love it, Rick. I love your story. And this is really ties into the topic of our conversation is unlocking your potential. Unlocking your potential and amplifying your talent is that it ties in a lot of times that we are somewhat of a
Yep.
hiding away or hiding from who we are at work.
Yeah.
And we really, in a way, bringing just half of us or a made up half of us to work.
Yeah.
And it really backfires us in some ways. So I
Yep.
like that your book that you wrote is really about acoustic, which to me is seem to be genuine,
Yep.
seem to be open, you know. See, and I'd like to get your definition on
Sure.
that. Acoustic leadership and three pillars, and I'd love to hear your three pillars of how you put that together, that leadership that you define as acoustic as well.
Sure. Thank you for bringing that up. Acoustic Leadership, Develop a Leadership Culture That Resonates is the book that I wrote. And it was an inspiring journey because I was learning at the same time. I had been involved in leadership development for a long, long time, but I realized at a certain point along the way, we're making this too complicated. We're living in this world of innumerable leadership competencies and rubrics. We're also looking at assessments, and we're telling leaders you got to do all of these things and be great at all of these things. And I suddenly thought, this isn't true. You don't have to be great at everything, and no one is ever going to be great at everything. Let's take a look at how we can approach leadership development differently. And that part of me that's a musician suddenly reached into that other side of my life and said, what can I learn from music? What really resonates with me?
Mm-hmm.
And at that same time, I remembered MTV Unplugged. Do you remember MTV Unplugged?
A little bit. I was a little kid at that time when MTV was playing on the screens.
Yeah. So MTV Unplugged, it started in the late 90s, I believe, or early 90s, one of those two. And it was all about having musicians perform unplugged. And there was something really good about those performances. And they latched on, they sold a lot of albums. And I saw that and I said, why does this resonate? And I realized there was three pillars of why those performances were successful: simplicity, authenticity, and opportunity. Simple. It was unplugged. It was just a few acoustic guitars. Authenticity. It was real. It was live. They were accessible. They couldn't hide behind these giant, guitar effects and multimedia shows. And then finally, it was an opportunity for the musicians to do something different. And it was an opportunity for the audiences to hear something different.
Yes.
And suddenly those three pillars, simplicity, authenticity, opportunity, I said, what if we focused on those as a leadership development practice? And it made so much sense. Simplicity. A leader's job is to help people do their best work. Let's make it simple. Authenticity. Let's build authentic, vulnerable, trust-based relationships that include accountability. And then finally, opportunity. As a leader, let's focus all of our efforts on helping other people grow, helping them unlock and amplify their talents and potential. And that's where the book came from. And I had so much fun, not only learning about it as I was writing it, but bringing this element of music to it as well.
I absolutely love it. It's so interesting that sometimes the concept from the creative sphere or creative area of our life, if as you ruminate on it, as you kind of dwell on it and you bring it to another, the two concepts can cohesively co-join and bring something completely unique and a perspective. And I love that simplicity. I think that life is just so complicated nowadays. We overcomplicate ourselves, we overcomplicate our circumstances, and bring it back to basic, to the simple things, simple relationships is really beautiful. Then authenticity, what is not more important than that? People smell, they can sense the energy, whether were you faking it, or you bringing it, or you bring your wall when you come into conversation. You just sense it on that subconscious level, whether the person is true, open, authentic, and genuine or not. And that brings so much opportunity to build the trust, to build these relationships that are gelled, that are really solid, to then develop people to their true potential. And it is unlocking your potential. You could use those three steps as well as unlocking, amplifying your team or your children in that matter, right?
Yep, absolutely. And it was funny because from the authenticity standpoint, earlier we mentioned, okay, well, the things that we've got to let go of in order to move forward. And that authenticity section really spoke to me. And I was writing the book, and after the first draft was created, my editor said, okay, let's talk about your voice. I said, okay, well, what do you mean about my voice? She said, you're very conversational. you're very casual, you're very laid back, and this is a leadership development book. Is that what you want to put out there? And I said, well, what else would I put out there? And she said, well, certain people would choose a more academic or perhaps professional tone. And then I thought, one of my pillars is authenticity. I can't not do it like this. That would be hypocritical. And this is who I am, and this is the voice I bring to the table. And so again, it's about saying, you know what, I need to rewrite that ritual and leave behind those things that have been pushed upon us, those beliefs that didn't necessarily work or resonate for me. So yeah, I'd love to think that I came off as authentic in the book while talking about authenticity.
That is amazing. And just in case if someone is interested, where can they find your book, Rick?
Amazon is the easiest place to go. You can also
Yes.
go to acousticleadership.com or ricklozano.com to find it there. So
That is awesome. That is awesome. It sounds like phenomenal opportunity to dive deeper. And I love that point that you brought up. I feel that unlocking your potential is to finding your true authentic voice is so important because again, we so formed and conformed to this societal expectations, to these unseen rules sometimes, to this unwritten cultures in a way that we feel that we just need to be in this conformity. And it takes courage to break through and to say, I really want to stand out and be who I am in this world, and also know that even you can find you have value in your skills and your experiences. And if the current place where you are in the current team does not see your value and who you truly are, perhaps maybe that's not the place for you to be. Perhaps you just have to reimagine what is it to be for you to really in an environment where people admire you, value you, want to lift you up, and where you know you have the potential to lift others up with you. That is really a beautiful way to be in a culture, bring the team together to work toward the goal that is meaningful to you and to the entire organization that you're working with.
Absolutely. And one of the smallest things that can make the biggest difference is being willing to say, I don't know. I don't know. As a leader, as an individual, just being able to, be vulnerable and say, look, there's things that I'm not good at. There's things that I don't know. And being able to say I don't know helps build that trust and that authentic relationship. Yes. When I think back to the leader who changed my life with the PFM stuff, I asked him, I said, how is this all going to work? He said, I have no idea. The man changed my life without even meaning to, and he had no idea what it was supposed to be. And yet, again, I think that's the power of us saying, I don't know, but here's something that I believe. Here's something that can help you. I think that's where the magic happens.
I love this. And I also think, Rick, that a lot of times we don't really necessarily see how great we are, how much potential we have until somebody else points it to us. Yeah. We tend to be in our own kind of tunnel-focused vision to what is there, what is ahead of us. Sometimes we just so minimize and undermine, especially I feel women do that a lot, minimize and undermine their potential, their earning potential, their potential of making a difference. And they hide in a way their true talents, again, to conform to just be within those boundaries of responsibilities that they have at work. Yeah. So I know you're talking about the leadership role to become a leader to yourself first. And then also I'd love for you to give us a little bit of insight on the best work to focus, not fix.
Yeah. A couple of thoughts there. And as you were saying that, one of the things that I think was really helpful for me personally is creating, a culture where we realize we're all leaders, whether we have manager titles, director titles, or we're individual contributors. We all influence other people in one way or the other. And as someone who specifically decided not to continue in management roles, I needed to realize that, hey, I am an influencer. I am still a leader in this capacity, and I need to own that. And I need to set that tone, because even though I decided to work in an individual contributor position, people were still watching what I did. Yes. And I needed to own that leadership, because I was either going to be a good example or a bad example. And for a while there, I probably wasn't the best one, but I had to figure that out. The other thing that really worked in terms of focusing people, one of the things that I decided very intentionally to do a few years ago was to tell people, Here's what I love about working with you. Sometimes we say, oh, okay, hey, thanks, great job. I appreciate you. And that's wonderful. But it goes so much further when you tell somebody, hey, Jana, you know what I love why I love working with you? Because you do these specific things. And suddenly people are hearing that, maybe even for the first time, and they go,
Wow.
wow, that
Wow.
means something. Thank you. And
Yes.
we're letting people know these are your areas of excellence. And I
Yes.
think a leader's role is to help people focus. Let's stop trying to fix people. And
Mm-hmm.
instead, let's focus them. People come pre-packaged with, yes, their strengths and their weaknesses. And we spend so much time focusing on these things that we're not, or that we don't have, or that we're not good enough in, those areas that we're, oh, I got to fix this. I got to fix this.
Yes.
Our lives are going to get that much further as sort of we're going to accelerate our development when we begin to focus on those areas where we're already great. And that's one of the ways I think we unlock and amplify our talent and potential, by analyzing
Mm.
and saying, where do I do my best work? Where am I naturally excellent? Where do I just flow? And then find more of those opportunities to do those things.
Wow, there's a great depth in there, Rick. I like that you say that, and I feel, having my son that is in this pathway in the high school, thinking about graduation, what career choices, even with the teens, going into the career. Sometimes it's hard to think. They're like, well, I don't know, what my strengths. I don't know really what to choose. And even as adults, I think we tend to just somewhat of a get in some kind of industry, get in this role path, and then sometimes it's completely misaligned to who we truly are and what we love doing.
Yeah.
So I feel that what you shared is exactly related to unlocking your potential, amplifying your talent, is to start with really rediscovering what brings you joy,
Yeah.
what helps you to not be tense, to not to have all this, tension in your shoulders and just stress, rush. But how can you be more in the flow? How can you be more laid back a little bit and relax and enjoy what you're doing?
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, that there are opportunities out there that really pay well for what you probably are great at and you will enjoy doing. It's just you don't necessarily see yourself going into that direction, or you don't necessarily even explore it because you think, well, I'm just here in this role and I'm just stuck, it pays well, why would I go and try to reinvent something in the middle of my life or so?
Yeah.
So I love that you share that, Rick. And how can we segue about what's next for people as they work on rediscovering their talents, how to amplify them, how to stop waiting for someone to tap on the shoulder, for someone to promote you, and dive into creating this reality for yourself.
That's a wonderful question. And I'm so excited about the work that I'm doing now because we were having a conversation pre-show about how things just are sort of coming together, and they arrive sometimes when they want to arrive. Acoustic Leadership was a great foundation for my first book, and now I'm working on my second book, which is probably going to be called Unlock and Amplify. And in that book, I introduce a model I call the riff. So it's a riff, and what it stands for is rewrite, integrate, focus, and flow. And it's
Mm-hmm.
my belief that in those four areas, the four components of the riff model, that's one tool that we can use to really unlock and amplify our potential. Let me give you an example. You talked about needing to change our mindset. The entire rewrite section is about just that. Rewriting the rituals, rewriting the assumptions, rewriting the mental constructs that might have been keeping us down. And I think for a lot of people, one thing that can help with this is realizing that there's always an opportunity for what I call open door decisions versus closed door decisions.
Mm.
We tend to look at our life and say, if I do this, whew, there's no turning back. But the truth in life is there's always an opportunity to change your mind. The door opens and there's a way in and a
Yes.
way out. And to your other point, if you find yourself in that position where maybe your work isn't satisfying or fulfilling, or your life's direction is not heading where you want, this is an open door. We can make the decision to do something else.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start by rewriting the rituals. Let's change the way that we're thinking about the work that we're doing. The integrate section to me is so much fun because it focuses on, okay, What do we already have? Both as people, the talents, the skills that I have, but also the resources. What do I have available to me? And how can I use creative combinations? How can I integrate the things I already have to create that next thing? And
Mm-hmm.
then the final two components are focus and flow. Focus. What are the fewest things I have to do? And you and I know this as business owners, as entrepreneurs, there's so many things to do.
Too many things to do.
I'm not going to do them all. And when I spread myself thin trying to accomplish all of them, and it doesn't matter if you're an entrepreneur or you're at work,
Yes.
when we do that, we're cheating ourselves. So, what is the fewest number of things? I'm in a group coaching program with other entrepreneurs because I also need help. I
Yes.
need a community. I need support. And that community has been so worthwhile to me. At the end of last year, we were sort of doing a year debrief, and one after another, every person hinted that they had been trying to do too many things. And we all said, we've got to focus on the fewest number of things. So that's another way to help focus. And then finally, flow. You said something brilliant, and I wrote it down. Before the show, you said, I want to let me learn how to feel alive. And to me, that's what flow is all about. Where do I feel alive? What
Mm-hmm.
gives me joy? Because when I do those things, I'm going to be able to positively influence someone else. When I bring and create joy, those things are going to impact other people. And in doing so, I'm going to potentially unlock talents and possibilities that I didn't know existed.
Wow, this is wonderful. I really love this. I feel like I need to go back and re-listen to just those a few minutes that you shared, Rick. So rich, so much in there. And what really stood out to me is that you gotta focus. And
Yeah.
I feel to me it speaks home
Yeah.
because I tend to just pile my plate with self-imposed expectations to the point where I'm like, ah. And the thing is that then I get frozen in action, and then I get into this sabotaging mode of avoiding
Yeah.
because I know the things that's going to move me forward are hard. So I'd rather do some busy work, some kind of work, but not focus on the things that's going to move me forward. And I think whether you are a business owner or you are working in a corporate job, it can affect your life and your progression
Yeah.
and your success tremendously to see what you're focusing on.
Yeah.
And then the other side of it is, are you focusing on what you don't have, or are you focusing on what you do have and growing that? And then really identifying your direction. I think that is so important, being in the flow, finding the right focus, but then identifying your direction and start looking at your life strategically as a leader and say, well, maybe you don't have a title behind your back, behind your name, or you don't have, a degree behind your name, whatever you may not have that you think that you need to be someone or to love yourself. Tell yourself you are right now the CEO of your life.
Love that.
You right now is in charge. You're in full control and you have taken responsibility. So start looking at it from that perspective as that where your life is going strategically. What is the path that you want to envision for yourself, for your business, of you to take the direction to? And it's fascinating that when we start stepping up like this, wake up and say, wow, it's my responsibility. I truly am responsible for the results I have in life right now.
Yeah.
And I am going to be responsible for the results I'm going to generate. I'm going to generate some kind of results 3 years from now. Even if I do nothing, there's going to be some kind of results. But hey, it's the intention that it counts.
There's, you hear a lot about generational differences. And people used to say, oh, well, millennials this and Gen Z this. And one of the things that's always fascinating to me for years and years and years, people would say things like, well, millennials, they think differently. They're programmed differently. They want these things. And I thought, well, I'm not a millennial, but I want those things too. And what was really funny when I started looking at that dynamic, it was a matter of millennials, for whatever reason, were able, that time just sort of worked out when work was changing and they were willing to re-examine what work looked like. And they said, why? Why do I have to do it like that?
Yes.
Why do I have to conform to these norms? Why do I have to work 40 hours a week and show up in a suit and tie? Why? Why exactly? And it was sort of that thinking that helped sort of people, and we're still on this journey figuring out what work's going to look like in the next couple
Yes.
of decades.
Yes.
But it was that ability to say, why do we do the things that we do? And are they worth it?
Are they worth it? That's a true thing. And I think it's really reevaluating. I think a lot of people, now that we are somewhat of it coming out of this deep, dark winter that I feel we've been on for 2 years, somewhat of a spring somewhere where hope is around for people. I think a lot of people are awake now in a way to say, well, what really is to my life, and what is really important to me. I just had a conversation a week ago or so with the lady that is in energy industry, and she's a global nomad.
Yeah.
So her company allows her to go and travel from anywhere in the world. And she happened to be in Turkey as we were talking, and she said, I want to bring the awareness that this is a lot of people that are looking, even right now with the travel challenges, are looking for opportunities to explore the world, to go out, to see new places. And that it gives her this sense of aliveness, that gives her an opportunity to find the community that is going and exploring new cultures, new places, and whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Don't feel that you are in a prison. I think sometimes we set those invisible bars for ourselves, by ourselves.
Yeah.
So we gotta have to break through and say, unlock this prison. Is what I like about this unlocking, is that the key is in your hands already. Just unlock that prison you're sitting in to let your potential out. And amplifying is really, to me, is making it bigger, louder. Actually, we went on the recital. My son had the first recital yesterday, and this young gentleman played the guitar with the piano, and it was really amplified. It was just like we were in the sounds of music. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
And Rick, as we about to close out, I know that your talent and what you like to amplify is to sing for people. So would you sing something for us, something special as we close this episode, please?
Absolutely, I will. And I'm gonna give some context to what I'm playing here. You and I both have a background in HR, and it's so funny because, again, we tend to live by these rigid rules, and what we start to realize when we make an attempt to change things is that sometimes it just takes small little tweaks. We don't have to completely reinvent the wheel, but if we make a little small tweak, that's the biggest difference. I was working with a company, they're a technology company, and they decided that one of the things that we have done in HR forever was this process called performance reviews. And I think you've had them, I've had them, you've probably conducted them.
Yes.
And there's a lot of data that suggests that we aren't always getting the return on investment for the time and energy and money that we invest in that process. Yes. And so this company, what they did was they said, you know what, let's just change the performance review process altogether. And what they did was they said, okay, we're going to stop doing the annual thing. Once a year. We're going to start doing it just every quarter, just have casual developmental conversations focused on one question. And that question is, what makes your job hard? And I thought, well, that's kind of brilliant. A performance review is not only supposed to appraise the person's performance, but position them to do better. Why not ask that question? Rather than it being punitive, they just say, what makes your job hard? And they have discussions about how to fix just that.
Wow.
And so in doing so, that little small change, they're saving a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of money. And in doing, they're also having much better performance appraisals now. So that's
awesome.
Context behind the song I'm going to play for you rather. It doesn't always work that way. So to our previous point, Jana, one of the things I do really, really easily is I write really silly songs. It just comes to me naturally. I am what I consider a serious songwriter. I've got 6 albums of original music on Spotify and Amazon and all that stuff, but it's the really funny, tongue-in-cheek ones that just seem to pop out. So with that in mind, this is a song I wrote all about.
Let's do that.
Bad performance reviews sound like.
Sounds
all
good.
Right, here we go. Writing your performance review It says more about me than you. It's morally defeating and often misleading, but this is the best we can do, so here we go. I haven't said this all year, but now you're about to hear about that thing last November that you don't remember. That's not how we do things round here, just so we're clear. Now between you and me, this year everyone's rated a 3. Successful. And the budget is tight, and that team building night really cost us. You know, Top Golf ain't free. No, it is not. But I want you to know that I value your contributions to this organization. You are a valued member of a winning team on an inspiring mission. You are creating synergies with our stakeholders and optimizing efficiencies in places we didn't even know we could optimize. You are a rock star. I love you, man. And in light of all this praise, here's your 0.5% raise. I hope you enjoyed your performance review, the performance review song.
Wow, I love it. I love the little quirkiness. I know I've listened to a couple of your podcast shows, and your songs are always just so unbeat. I love it. It just shines your personality. I love it, Rick.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming today, not just sharing your wisdom, your lessons, your book, your inspiration, your voice, but more importantly, showing your personality and your talent. I love it. And just that quirkiness, just that fun. I think we all as adults too serious sometimes. And we need more fun in life. Rick, thank you so much for coming and sharing yourself with us today.
Jana, I greatly appreciate it. Thank you so very much.
Wow, I really enjoyed this gentleman. Is just such a joy. Connect with him on LinkedIn, find his book, and just follow him. I think he's up to something, really, whether you are looking to be inspired and encouraged personally, professionally, or you're looking for some non-traditional leadership inspiration experiment for your team. I think this is a gentleman for you to connect with and have further conversation. I really enjoyed my conversation with Rick. I hope you too. My friend, today is the day for you to just give yourself permission, be happy. Give yourself permission to have more fun in life, a little bit quirkiness. Go give some other people, share some joy with other people. Let's lighten up this world together. And this week, make a good one. Celebrate your wins and know that you are important and unique person in this world. And continue, keep powering unique you. And I'll see you again next week. Take care.